Hello, hello, and thank you for dancing in the discomfort zone with me today. Today we are welcoming Christoph Merrill, otherwise known as the Habit Freak, or anyway, the creator of the Habit Freak. We'll find out during this episode whether he's actually the freak or not. He is a leadership thought leader who helps people build habits that hold when the pressure hits. After a life-altering moment changed everything, he dedicated his work to proving this truth, that habits are not built for calm days, they're built for the hard ones. His work helps leaders perform when motivation disappears and the stakes are real. Christoph, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, you are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and you and I met last summer at a speaker event, but more importantly, we went surfing, and that was amazing.
We did. That was probably, again, speaker event. That was fantastic. I happened to have a casita out by the pool and stumbled onto a flow rider and was like, "Hey, Ann, psst, let's go." And she's like, "I'm in." And like lots of other wonderful speakers, I'm sure, but no one else had the courage to go hit the flow rider with me. And I'll tell you, it was awesome.
Yeah, and that was a perfect case of be courageous enough to suck at something new, because I ended up on my butt most of the time.
Yeah. That was a little different, but boy, was it just I think you and I now forever are connected with that memory. Like it's part of who we were. It's awesome.
You, me, and Flo. And that instructor, I remember him. He was so awesome. He was so good.
He was.
All right, but let's talk habits, because it's interesting that I'm doing this today, because literally just this morning, I've had a pretty slow start to the year as far as travel. So I've been able to kind of get into a rhythm with working out and, getting up at the same time and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, this consistency thing is, after 52 years, suddenly I'm like, oh, that's why people do this. So it's really interesting that we're having this conversation.
Surprise!
That realization. But let's talk about the sort of the where this all began for you. You had a pretty tough moment, and that birthed the habit.
I did have a pretty tough moment, but I in order to kind of like fully encapsulate that tough moment, I need to step back a little bit. So in 2010. I won't date myself by saying 2010, but in 2010, I realized that I was going to be speaking almost every weekend that year. So I had 48 weekends already booked. So in an effort to be, this was the whole goal, this was the whole desire, nothing grandiose, nothing amazing, in a simple desire, an effort to be a better dad. That's it. I decided that I was going to handwrite notes to my kids. At the time, I had 3 kids. We now have a total of 4. Sadly, 3 of them are still awesome. I never answer which ones aren't, because it rotates every 15 minutes. Those notes, it was just, again, I want to be really clear, because like oftentimes when we start talking about habits, when we start talking about goals, the whole adage of, if you don't shoot for the moon, you won't hit the stars, or some BS crap like that, right? Like where it has to be so huge that like, well, if you're not afraid of your goal, then it's not the right goal. Like my literally the whole focus. So I was adopted at birth. My parents were super happy and excited, and I was absolutely terribly spoiled rotten. There wasn't a thing on the earth I didn't go without. They took care of everything, every physical want I could ever have, spiritual, emotional, that kind of stuff. We could go into that later, but I had everything I wanted. I dreamed of a better dad. This isn't to say that my father wasn't awesome. He did a great job. He took care of number one, which was to support his wife and his kids and take care of all of our, needs or whatever. So for me, this goal, this habit was be a better dad. That's it. So I started, and that year I spoke like 48 times. The next year was more, then more, then more, and I got into the point where I was leading seminars. So we're not talking about just a single keynote. We're talking about speaking on stage where all you have is me. I mean, imagine this, both positive and negative, for 3 entire days. Whoa, right? So, yeah, Anne's like, I think that'd be too much. But the goal was like, again, provide for my family, do what I need to do, have fun in the same thing. So from an outside perspective, if you looked at, I'm going to say my Instagram reel, you would have assumed, oh my gosh, this guy has everything. The home, the car, the wife, the 3 awesome kids, all of these things. However, there was a huge disconnect for me. I kept running into the exact same problems. My mind kept telling me, no, this isn't going to work. This is, I would get very excited, and then it would just, and so I got to a point, Anne, where I decided that the only way forward was to remove myself from the equation completely. So I had the entire event planned out. So I drove out to the lake. I'm not going to get too graphic, don't worry. But I had it all planned out. I wasn't really thinking at this point. Kind of the thought process had stopped a little while before this. So I drove out to the lake, perfect spot I had picked out. Kind of had everything set up. Reached into my bag, pulled out a pistol, put it in my mouth. And the second before that faithful ending, a single thought ran through my head. You haven't written the note to your kids for the last time. Now, I want to let that sink for just a second. Under normal conditions, you haven't written the note to your kids for the last time. Like, that would have carried some weight. It didn't carry any weight at all. I literally stopped exactly what I was about to do, put the weapon on the seat, grabbed my notebook, and started writing. And I started writing, and I wrote, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed with the things that I wrote. They're actually in that box right there. Mm. Those notes are in that box on purpose. I told my 9-year-old son that he's going to have to step up and become the man of the house because I'm not going to be around because I quit. It didn't hit me. Like the weight of what I was saying to my son. I have a son and 3 daughters. So I started with my oldest and worked my way down. I got to my second child, my oldest daughter. And I wrote things, I'm not going to be around when that stupid boy up the street breaks your heart. I'm not going to, and on and on. And then I got to my third child, middle daughter. And all of a sudden, I don't know what it was. I wish I could go back and kind of remember the exact moment, but the process of going through what I call an automatic habit, a habit that basically when I was being tested the most, I didn't have to worry about whether the habit was going to be there or not, whether I was going to succeed or fail. That habit of writing notes to my kids literally saved my life, because by going through the motions, I realized, whoa, where am I? Oh, I'm not safe. I need help. And that then progressed into me calling and getting some help, and then ultimately being diagnosed as bipolar type 1, which is actually, I think they call it bipolar type awesome.
The best kind.
Yeah. I would just say bipolar is the best kind. How's that?
Okay, there you go. Well, and this automatic habit thing, it just kind of kicked in. In that moment you needed it, thank goodness. So how did that change the trajectory of what you were doing? Because you were already speaking.
So I was already speaking, but I was working for a seminar company. So most of the content, there was a gentleman, his name is T. Harvecker. He hates the coined term, but he is the Tony Robbins of Canada. Most of the content was his, we got to kind of like salt it a little bit with maybe, you know, some of our stories or a little bit of uniqueness, but most of it was his, you know, kind of his material. And we were just sharing it all around the world. So again, I go back to the reason I started that habit. The reason I started writing notes to my kids was not something grandiose. It was not something, I wasn't trying to be admired. I wasn't trying to be, you know, I simply wanted to be a better dad. I wanted my kids, no matter where I was in the world, no matter where the plane landed for me, they knew that like dad was proud of them. They knew that dad loved them. They knew, some of them were terrible dad jokes, terrible. Some of them were, you know, humorous stories or, you know, whatever. That wasn't the point. So after the diagnosis, I kind of dove into like getting a mental health or mental illness diagnosis can be, and this is the same. My wife, many years ago, was diagnosed with stage 4 bone cancer. So like that's about the same weight. Hey, you could die from this. This is a pretty big deal. You should take this seriously. I did not like what the world proposed, right? Like if you Google, you know, bipolar and, awesome people that are bipolar, there aren't a whole bunch of us. So I started, I didn't like the future. I didn't like that this was like never going to end, that this was kind of like, hey, this is going to be your life for the rest of the time. There are ways to manage it. And initially, because I was unsafe, the best method to kind of make me quote unquote safe was to eliminate that desire to harm myself by over medicating me to the point of I became a walking zombie.
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't want to live that life. I didn't want to, I mean, that is why for most people, that is why bipolars go off of their medication as often as they do, is because the chemicals that my brain produces as I'm kind of on the upswing towards mania, that's kind of like what most people think. It is, the chemicals are more addictive than the highest grade of heroin on the planet. So by taking medication every day, you're literally like removing your ability to get there, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, you are kind of, you don't go crazy high and you don't go crazy low. That's a positive. But you're limiting those crazy highs, which then, you know, we all kind of have that like, oh gosh, like that was so great. Like I could, I have an extended type where I can go months without sleep, not days or weeks. So if you imagine your body running at full speed, and maybe not even full speed, like 180%, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like the amount of things and items that I could accomplish and get done, amazing. But obviously at some point, the mind and the body break and woo, like, and then it gets really, really scary of like me at the lake. So part of the, I'm going to call it the ritual, was, okay, if I'm going to have to take medication for the rest of my life, what else can be part of my treatment? What else can be part of this? And so I dove into meditation, breath work, cold plunging, running on coals or walking on coals, sauna, exercise, like everything you could think of. The one that surprised me the most was actually journaling. Because I was not a journaler before this. This was not something I was like sitting at home going, you know what? I'm going to become the best journaler in the world. No, not on my radar. But come to find out, I don't journal where I'm going or what I'm doing or, you know, the food that I'm eating. I journal where is my mood, right? Mm-hmm. Up, down, in the, you know, like, because that's about the most I can control. And then what I could do is I can look back and go, hey, why am I'm having particular thoughts? Why? Like, where did this come from? One of the greatest things that came from this was if my wife would text me, we need to talk. No explanation, no nothing. my mind immediately went to, my grandfather, who I revere, like I'm hoping all kids revere their grandfather this way. He was an idol in my mind, but he bought me my first BB gun, and I killed my first bird with it. And I'll tell you, I still am a little haunted by it. And that's where my mind goes when my wife says we need to talk.
Don't.
I go to, she found out that I killed a baby bird when I was 8, and she wants to talk about it, and I don't want to talk about it. So I'll invent a meeting. I got to stay late. I'll invent, in some cases, I have to fly out of town because I will avoid the conversation, versus if she will just text me, we need to talk about your daughter and her not attending school. Great. I would love to talk about that. But if she just, again, that open-endedness, my mind goes to like DEFCON 5 of like, wait, what, like, where are we? What are we talking about? And so having the ability to journal, right? This quote unquote habit. At this point, it's more than a habit. See, this is where it gets fun. This is where habits get really fun, right? Because at some point, the habit of me writing notes wasn't a habit anymore. It actually became either like a routine that I just like, that's what I do, right? Like, this is what I do before I go on a trip. I push it into the kind of identity / character component where it just became part of who I am. I still do it now. Like it just, you know what I mean? It's become more of a habit. Like it's not a habit anymore. It's just part of character. It's who I am. And so that component has really given me like, okay, so if I can do, if a habit can become like that, how could I do that with my mental superpower? I can't, the taste of illness like tastes like vinegar, because I don't see it as an illness. Yes, it's different. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, it's whatever, but so is everybody else's stuff. I mean, there are so many examples of everything that everybody has to go through, and mine might be a little bit more vocal. Mine might be a little bit more intense sometimes. Sure. Mine worse than others. I mean, sadly, the greatest thing that most bipolars are known for is we typically don't attempt suicide. We commit suicide. That is not a great, like, I don't want that on my headstone when I eventually die of old age. I want to be remembered for like some random thing. Like the fact that the guy, I always am wearing this damn white hoodie. Like that is totally fine, right? The fact that I have 17 of them. I hope that like, that's why I'm remembered. Not that like I was bipolar or, whatever. And so I believe after having like kind of spent the last 11 years really focused on, okay, what are habits? I read every habit book. I went to Barnes and Noble and bought again, I'm a tad excessive. I bought every book on the shelf that even had habit in the name.
So I want to pause you for a second.
Yes.
Because there's an
Pause me.
Pause. So there's an important thing that you have said and that you did that I think is a key pivotal moment, and I welcome you to disagree with me if you don't think that's the case. But you said, what can I control? You said, what can I do? Here's my reality. What do I do with it? What do I do with it? And you took that personal accountability. You said, how do I manage this? Because I'm the only one who can control it. I feel like that's a pivotal moment that a lot of people take a long time to get to. Would you agree? And what do you think about that?
So I would totally agree. Oftentimes, so for me, the first 2 years of life after being diagnosed as bipolar type 1. So there is a process, you can Google it, on how you have to be diagnosed as bipolar type 1. It's not fun. I don't encourage it. And so there's a process in a system. Once that happens, society as a whole kind of clamps down on that individual and is like, hey, like, you know, these are the things that you need to do. And again, coming to terms with like, I don't ever want to be out at the lake again. I don't want to end up in that scenario. There is that version of acceptance, of acknowledgement. But for me, it actually took 2 years for me to decide, okay, the doctor that I had when I was first diagnosed, I call him a drug dealer because our sessions lasted no longer than 5 minutes. He didn't really care how I was doing. He wrote his prescription for no longer than 30 days, and he didn't take insurance. So therefore, it was like cash deal. I could have gotten that kind of treatment on the street in Vegas.
Probably for less.
Yeah, for way less. So the fun is when I decided you know what, I don't like how I feel. I don't like it was either I need to find someone else that can treat me, or I'm going to go off medication and just go back on, you know, kind of, old version of Christoph, because I prefer either of those two options. Luckily, I found an amazing psychologist who immediately, and I'm going to give her credit. She immediately made it my choice. She said, "Hey, in order to start new medication, we need a detox from the old medication. So that's going to get scary because you're going to have to go off medication completely. Because I need to get all that crap out of your system, and then we're going to start new." And then it became my choice of whether we started at 25 milligrams or we started at 250 milligrams. It was my choice. The other thing that she gave me, which was kind of like a real big blessing in disguise, was she said, "Hey, you only have to do this for a season. You don't have to do this forever. Why don't we see how you feel in 2 months, in whatever." And then it was the power that I immediately had. Whereas before, you're going to take this medication for the rest of your life. No offense or buts. There's nothing about it. To the point where, what do you think? Do you, again, in our sessions, do you want to go up in milligrams, or do you want to go down, or do you want to stay the same? Like immediately that power was restored to me in an environment in which I didn't feel like I had a lot of power. And so that created an opportunity for me to go, wait, where else do I have this power? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Meditation, very, whether you believe in it or not, right? I'm a fan of meditation, breath work, journaling. Those are probably like my top ones. All of the other ones help and have helped, but again, some of them stick, some of them don't. I think that the one thing, Anne, I had to do, which was probably like the hardest element of this, was I had to become radically self-aware. Mm-hmm. To the point that again, whether you're religious or not, right? I happened to go to a particular church, and I had somebody come up. I thought it was important to share, that I was diagnosed with bipolar and that I'm struggling. And he came up and he put his arm on my shoulder and he says, "Man, just sounds like you've got to pray a little bit harder to get God to take this away from you." Buddy, like God, I believe God gave it to me. Oh. I believe that there's a lesson in all of this. And while I don't like the lessons I get to learn, how can I turn this into something that I can help someone else? So there's where habit came. Mm-hmm. The freak came, the freak concept came from looking at the definition of what bipolar type 1 is and going, no, I don't like that. Thanks. I'm going to create my own. Just like Google wasn't really a word before Google used it so much times, and then all of a sudden it became an adjective, and all of a sudden, hey, I'm going to go Google, whatever.
It's like Kleenex.
Okay. Yeah. It owns, like, right? Call a facial tissue anything other, right?
A what?
Gross. Ew, I don't want a facial tissue. Like, that just sounds weird. Like, no, I want a Kleenex. Same concept. So habit freaks are basically anybody who has decided that they're not necessarily happy with where they're at. And they realize that they don't have all the answers, but they realize all the answers are inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about, right, like thinking about what it is that you want to do, where it is that you want to go, what it is that you want to have. Like, I think each and every one of us, we are our best advocate and our worst enemy. Being our worst enemy, I think, is from a place of comfort. So I despise runners. I literally do. I hate them. It's so gross. I would rather go to the dentist than like go on a marathon run. But I can.
Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know how you. Gross. So here's what I can say. I do highly respect and admire those that identify as runners, because to them it is not about running. Like you take your shoes on vacation. That's disgusting. Like, why would I ever want to do that on the beach? Like
This comes back to an important theme here, right?
Yeah.
You were listening to your original shrink who was not delivering what you needed. You were listening, we all listen to the experts where the answers tend to be in ourselves, and we need to start saying, what do I want? What's going to work for me? It's not, the experts. It's not the neighbor next door who's having great results with running. It's saying, who am I? What do I want? And how do I create those habits? So how do we do that? How do we create those habits?
So
actually,
I'll give
how do
you
we trust ourselves? Let's start there real quick.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Do you ever have you ever done New Year's resolutions? Like ever in your life?
Yes.
How did you do?
Terrible.
Okay, right?
They were the same every year for a long time.
Yep, they were. And how far, again, just and we've surfed together. We've wiped out together. So, like, I could do this, right?
Yes.
How far did you get? What was the shortest amount of time when you said, okay, these are my New Year's resolutions? Like, did you get to, like, Thursday?
I may have gotten to the following week, I think. I may have gotten 10 days. Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm a big deal.
that's because you're an insane runner, and that's why you were like, I'm doing this, and you just pushed on through. Statistically, most people don't make it the first week. So, I'll give you an example of my own life. So many, many years ago, I weighed 90 pounds, 90 pounds more than I weigh right now.
Oh, more. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
More, yeah.
I
90 pounds
altogether. I'm like, what?
No. Yeah, I'm not Christian Bale. 90 pounds overweight. For a long time, my goal was lose 30 pounds. So I would hire a trainer, I would go to the gym, and we would start working out. And I hated every minute of it. Because when you're overweight and you're a little lumpy, right? The shirts never fit right. You're at the gym, you see this like shredded, like whoever, and you're like, yeah, I don't belong here. And so the pressure is so intense. Fast forward to the point where when I finally decided, okay, we're gonna make a change. The goal was not lose 30 pounds. The goal was, how can I eat as healthy as possible every choice I have? Mm-hmm. So then when I'm tested, perfect example, because it even happened this week. Well, it was last week. Last week, I was, for those of you that don't know, speakers, we kind of get like pre-selected. So they're choosing, if there's an event, they're choosing between 4 or 5 or 2 or 3. And then they want to do an interview and they want to, kind of see how you're doing. It's kind of like, it's an audition is what it is. They want to, understand. So I happened to do this, and it ended up being about 9:30 p.m. My time, because they're around the world. And so I was like, yeah, I'd love to do that. Well, I got busy. I typically don't eat breakfast. I eat a light lunch, and then I eat a very, very like specific regimented, like you can tell I'm very habitual in all I do. So I usually have a great dinner. That day I stayed late because I had the meeting, so I didn't eat anything. So I hadn't eaten anything since lunch. So after the meeting goes over, I did really, really well. I got notified this week that it's on. So great. But I end up in the drive-thru by default. I literally didn't, you know those moments when some people like drive to work and they kind of like, how did you get here? And they're like, I don't know. Like your autonomic function of your body, literally just like my body knew I was hungry. It knows that I like Freddy's. So it's like, just drive your butt over to Freddy's and get in the window. And then when they roll the window down, just tell them double cheeseburger, extra cheese and extra bacon, right? Get those really good shoestring fries. And why don't you throw a root beer in there just for fun? Like that would be normally my default meal because it makes me feel good until I realize how much I just ate. And then I feel gross. So I'm staring at the window going, wait a minute. Like I know what I want. I know what feels good. I know what smells good. What's the healthiest thing on this menu board? This is the tested part. 2 grilled. Yuck. I can make those at home. 2 grilled chicken fingers. 2. Not like 5. Not like, 2. No sauce. No fries. No root beer. Not 2. Like, that is tested. By doing that over and over and over, guess what? The funny thing is, and I overemphasize how hard like the last week was for me. It wasn't hard at all. Like I still defaulted in the drive-thru at Freddy's.
To that.
But I knew what I was going to choose. So by doing it over, so the testing component. So I love, this is what I'm going to spend the next 30 years of my life discovering, reevaluating is this thesis statement. When pressure hits, habits are tested, not taught. That right there is everything for me. That's what I want written on my headstone. When pressure hits, because guess what? Every habit book I bought, so everyone thinks this is hilarious. I don't, because this is just me. So when I bought all of those books, the funny thing is I don't read. Not that I can't read, I just don't. So like I have books on my shelf. And the funny thing is every book on this shelf is because I didn't read it because I don't read. I have listened to the audio version of that book and enjoyed it enough to then purchase the book so that the author gets more than like my dollar of, whatever it is that Audible gives them, I don't know, 10 cents or whatever. I'm happy to buy the book. After having listened to hundreds of habit books, most of them are designed for calm, idyllic scenarios. Well, you know what? Here's what you're going to do. You want to start being a runner? Ew, gross. This is what you're going to do. You're going to buy a brand new pair of shoes. You're going to get those super socks that are really supportive. You're going to get a brand new outfit. You're going to lay it out Sunday night before you go. And then you're going to get a full 8 hours of sleep. It's going to be the most restful sleep you've ever had. Your dog is not going to barf in the middle of the night and wake up. Like, wait, right? Like, we've already interrupted this, like, perfect ideal land that doesn't exist of how you're going to change your life by go running. And again, I'm not trying to not tell you to go running. If you want to go run and be a weirdo, go run and be a weirdo. If you want to change your life, have you ever tried to start a new habit? Let's say, right? Most people start on Monday because like that seems like the right, like it's the first day of the week. Like this makes sense, right? And then when they fail on Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday or even Friday, they immediately give themselves the rest of the week off. Mm-hmm. Yes, I don't have to do this stupid thing I didn't want to do anyway. And then they attempt to restart again next Monday. So habit freaks know that you're going to fail often. I could have had a double cheeseburger the other night. Totally could have had one. Mm-hmm. And I would have realized after about 10 bites. Yep, I probably should put this back in the bag and chuck it out the window. Not that I'm a big fan of littering, but find a garbage, throw it away. Otherwise, it's going to tempt me. The smell will tempt me the whole way home. And then the next morning, start over.
Start again. Yep. And this is something that I've found it's super, super helpful is for me, not making it a big thing. Just do it every day. So for right now, instead of you need to run 3 times a week, do weight training twice a week, and do yoga once a week, it's just move every day. Just go.
There you go. There you go.
And that's all I've put on it.
I call that the MMD. Minimally viable or meaningful minimum dose. So we come up with these habits, right? I'm going to go run 3 miles every day. So, okay, that's not going to work. Like you might be traveling. You might have tweaked your knee. There are so many things that like, wow, like I'm not going to, so what does that mean? So for me, the minimum meaningful dose, MMD, came from, I have days still, even though I consider myself thriving with bipolar, I still have days where I want to just die under the covers. Not literally, but figuratively. I don't have the energy to get out of bed. My MMD for the day is crawling, and I don't mean to be overly descriptive, crawling on the floor to the shower, laying on the floor in the shower, and attempting to like try to get soap relatively close to my body. That's as much energy as I have that day. So then what does MMD mean for that day? It looks totally different than regular, normal, every day. Does that mean the habit is different? No, the habit is the same. It's just there's a little bit of grace involved. Now, if you start realizing that like you're doing your MMD every day, that's probably a point where you need to reevaluate like, okay, you know what? Like for me, there will never be a day where I wake up and go, you know what? Let's go for a run. Oh yeah, never, ever. Like I will.
This summer.
No. We could go surfing. You know what? I might run with you like a block or two. I probably don't know how far I could run, right? But I have no desire to like, you and I like go on a run hike in the mountain. No.
You have no desire. There might be this.
I'll take the tram. I'll meet you at the top. We can have lunch, but you run it. I'm not.
Right.
I'll ride my mountain bike down.
Sure.
I'll ride my mountain bike up.
Which I won't do.
There you go. So like, right? For me, riding my bike I'm way more interested in it. I'm way more excited. So at the end of the day, like this is the fun of habits. You ultimately get to choose, but you have to realize that like you're going to have to choose every day.
Right. Well, and we have to also let go of that aspirational thing that society or the leader or the guru or whatever your friend or neighbor has created and say, what's real and right for me? What's real and right for me in who I am? What's real and right for me today? And that's why just move every day. For me, every day is not the same. I don't have a consistent, and so I love that MMD thing, meaningful minimum dose, is that takes into account who I am today and allows me to be who I am and do what I do. I love this. And is this why you essentially have a closet full of the exactly same outfit, and why, you've created all of these habits and pieces to control what you can control and eliminate some of the will and decision needed, right?
So, yeah. So go back to radical self-awareness. My wife is amazing. I love her to death. She would buy me clothes that are they're so nice. She knows that I have really nice, expensive shoe tastes. But if I walked into our closet, I would get decision fatigue. I don't know what matches what. I know when she like bought it for me, it was like on 2 hangers that were like really close to each other. So like that was like, I don't know. So I would I would retreat, right? The pressure would hit, and what would I do? Would I just grab something and wear it out in the day and like look awesome? No, I would go get the clothes out of the hamper and wear those because I knew yesterday, like, yeah, gross. But I would do it because it was just this decision. So many years ago, I got fed up. We lived in Las Vegas. I drove down to the mall, wandered through the mall, probably like a little weird, touching all of the clothes because I'm very tactile. So like the way, like this jacket, like literally the way that this jacket feels, just, it brings me some immense sense of pleasure. So I was like wandering around, touching, and I found this red shirt. So I bought every one they had in my size. I was like, how many do you have? They're like, I don't even remember. It was probably 6 or 7. So I bought them all. And then I started wearing them every single day. We lived in a guard-gated community. And all of a sudden the neighbors come over and they're like, hey, do you guys need like some money? Like, is everything okay with Christoph? Like, we've noticed he's been wearing the same outfit every day for like 2 months straight. Like, are you guys okay? Like, are you guys, And my wife at that point was just like, he's just a weirdo. Like, he just, because I actually at that point hadn't even defined what it was. I just knew that I loved how that shirt felt and I liked how confident I was in that shirt. So therefore, why not wear it every day? So then that evolved where my wife was like, yeah, could you like buy like, some nicer stuff? And some of them I do. So usually in the summer in Las Vegas, I'm going to wear either a black or a great Viore shirt. The fabric is amazing.
It's so good.
And, oh yeah, Viore does such a good job. Or and then the same like the same shorts. Like I just find a pair that I like and I buy them in the same color and we're done. The white hoodie, I think I purchased it at Nordstrom's was the first place. And I, again, tactile, feeling the clothes. And I was like, oh, man. And so then I went online and I was like, how many of these can I get? And 17 was the number. Like literally it maxed out. It was like, you can't order anymore. So that became the de facto ordering number of whatever I order. If I'm ordering clothes, I order 17 of them. Done. Easy. And so I have way more than 17 white hoodies. My wife did buy me them in the other colors, but they don't feel the same. So like, I just leave them in the closet, just trying to give her hope. There is no hope. I'm not going to wear them. But like, so I don't have to decide anymore.
Right.
It's easy.
And it eliminates a stressor. It eliminates one place. And this is in that the book, is it Grit? Angela Duckworth.
Yeah.
Decision fatigue takes away your ability to, follow through on those habits, to make those decisions when you need them. So I have one more question that I need to know.
Yes.
Every single time you write your name, it's fully capitalized in the first name and little in the last name. What's up with that? Not an accident.
So, I've
seen it everywhere.
Not an accident. Not a marketing ploy.
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
I came into this world a different path, so I'm adopted. So I was born in 1976. My biological, my birth mom was 14 when she conceived me, 15 when she gave birth. I'm the only known case that was given up for adoption in the state of Utah at the hospital. So not pre-planned, not whatever. So the chance and ability that I have a name, that I was given a name, is so important to me. And a lot of this kind of like came to fruition. So I didn't always capitalize it. 5 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And I thought I was going to nip this in the butt in, 3 weekends. That turned into 5 years. But I got to essentially adopt her because she lost the ability to make decisions for herself.
This was your biological mother?
This was my adopted mother.
Okay.
Yep. So she became like a child to me because I became her legal guardian. So I got to decide for her. And during this process, she lost She forgot who I was because of Alzheimer's, because of the progression. Just one day, just literally like, Christoph is gone to her. Her time in her mind was kind of pre when I was born. And so the fact that she is the one that gave me that name, I have to capitalize it for the rest of my life. Yeah, me too. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. And it's such a as we try to figure out how do we live our best life. That's such a terrible saying, but as we figure out how to thrive through all the tough stuff and all the bad things that happen in life, I love how you have really embraced, how do I do this for me? How do I, it's not what everybody else is doing, and that doesn't matter because it friggin' works for me.
It does. So I have this like massive book on my desk. It's the Macmillan Book of Proverbs, Maxims, and Famous Phrases. It's from like the 1800s. It's huge. I love it because every day I get to like look and like learn a new word. And my wife hates this because I come home with all sorts of really, because again, the like 1800s, like they didn't, the English that they used then, right? I stumbled upon the word strive. And I have embraced that word more than any other word because like shooting for greatness or, like striving just simply means every day you get up and do your freaking best. That's it. Like, end of story. You don't need to define it. You don't need to disclose it. You don't need to tell everybody why you're doing it. Like, just get up and do your very best every single day. End of story. Done. Sadly, Anne, if you want to go for a run, by all means, go for a run.
Thank you. I'm going to strive to do my best. Well, habitfreak.com is your new website. So excited to have that launch. So go check out habitfreak.com. I'll put that in the show notes as well. Christoph, you're the bomb. I'm so glad we did this. And it was so great to hear all of the aspects of your story and how we can start bringing in the MMD into our own habit creation so that in those drive-through moments, we are ordering the chicken fingers.
Yes. Do your best. Strive. Thanks, Anne.